straight.
Oh, good morning.
Week 6, permission to shine. Perfect present. Tuesday morning. And it still feels like
It just still feels like a battle between looking right and pulling the wool over people's eyes and behaving like everything's going to be all right. If we just find the key to success, we'll be able to shine, we'll be fabulous.
And it still feels like even talking into this week is a sense of having to have an answer. Having some...
Show someone the results of a successfully shined life.
But as far as, you know, if the people do
at least not have food in your teeth, or not have stains on your clothes, or not have scars on you, you know, at least look the part
of
someone who's winning in the game, someone who's shining, someone who's in the flow, someone who's in the vortex, someone who's, I don't know, whatever else you want to call it. Living out heaven on earth, being in the oneness.
No, sorry, I just had a vision of... It is that sense of, you know, when you meet that person that doesn't fit the mold and is confident anyway, they're the ones that really stand out. It is the people that have all the reasons to be despondent and yet don't consider any of those conditions of reality important. They're the ones that you kind of look at and go, wow, aren't they amazing? There's not, yeah, I know, I'm just saying there's both of those things seem to exist.
That it just makes me think of Robin Williams, because it makes me go, half those people are just living in hope that things will get better.
Which
and
people?
They're trying to cheer everybody up. The people who shine, even though they've got food in between their teeth and they've got dirty clothes on. It just feels like most of them are just pushing through, living in hope that things will get better and trying to promote that agenda that if we just keep trying, things will get better. And a lot of them are the ones who go home and cry and kill themselves.
Yeah, I guess I'm not talking about the ones who appear to. I'm saying the ones that have confidence regardless of what we think confidence is attached to. They're not the size 8 blonde, you know, with the facial structure of a 15-year-old. They're the ones that walk into the shop, but he doesn't actually, like, we don't know anything. I don't know. I'm just saying.
No, but he doesn't fit the mold in any way. He never fitted the mold. He couldn't have fitted the mold if he tried.
But what?
And so he went through life going, let's have fun and be confident and laugh anyway. It's going to be all right. Things are going to get better. You'll see. You'll be fine.
Have you ever seen his stand-up comedy? There was nothing hopeful about it. He's a cynical comedian. I don't think there was anything in him that said, laugh and everything will be better. Most of his work was quite, this is what's wrong with the world. I don't know, that's why I never watched his stand-up comedy, because I saw one thing of that and just went, okay, that's not something I really want to, that's not a mentality that I want to play into. There's no, I know that a story exists, but it certainly doesn't empower me. It doesn't give me a sense of who I am in that, you know, in that tribal sense of being reminded of what makes me lovable, of how I am interconnected. It doesn't play into any of those areas. I guess I'm talking about the people that don't look the part but are the part. You know, there's this sense of they don't have any of the conditions, but they are. They believe and they portray as if, because they believe. I don't know, I've met people like that. They just seem to embody it without having any cultural justification for embodying it. There's some sense that that exists in this same reality, that if you don't tick all these boxes, then you don't deserve, no one will give you that status. No one has given these people that status, and somehow they seem to stand in it anyway. And they're the people that we notice. They're the people that kind of light up and we just go, oh wow, isn't that amazing? They walk into a room and glow. There's something, I was going to say magnetic, but there's something intriguing about them. And it is in that permission to be without the conditions and to embody it anyway. Something magnificent. I mean, I guess that's why we admire those people. That's why they capture our attention. Because they're not playing by the rules we think they are playing on the planet. Because I think you're right. I think the people that tick those boxes probably do go home and cry. And it is a facade. It is something that's, it's something that's working for them, and it's kept in place by all their beliefs about the world. But it's certainly a part that they're playing, not an experience they're having. They're the ones that tick those boxes. They're the ones that stress that their emails aren't read and their marketing campaign isn't up in time and the plane went over halfway through the recording, and none of that stuff really matters. Somewhere it's like if those things occur, the sense of inner peace comes from, well, they must be happening for a reason. There's that's permission to shine. That sense of like you said, that battle, that there is no battle. Even in being who you are, even if you don't see the world from that place where everything is happening for a reason, it is that, well, I must believe what I believe, and that's what makes me me, and that's a beautiful thing. It's even all that self-awareness, in that ability to know thyself, accept thyself, be grateful for thyself, and be thyself. That's permission to shine. But this week of content is bound to bring certain things to your loudest point. I think that's what Louise and I were talking about this morning. That's what the content does, is bring things into your awareness. And it feels like trying not to get it wrong, and it feels like being on a schedule, that sense of enlightenment on a schedule. If I haven't got it by this week, what am I doing wrong? But the loudest point is your conversation. And that's still going to take a while to be in that place, you know, because I guess when you're in it, it feels like jumping from point of view to point of view to point of view. But there's a sense that they are all aspects of who you are. All of those perspectives are aspects playing into this loudest point. And some people will need a muse or a guide to be with them as they explore all of those points of view. But if they're just points of view, no matter how they feel, there's a sense that you're not getting it wrong. It's not that you haven't got it yet. It's not that you're not in the place that you need to be, because you are always having that experience for a reason. Do you want to say something about what comes up in week 6?
I don't know, because it's whatever's coming up right now for you. So I just go, you know, when we say permission to shine, what do you think that looks like? What do you think you're going to get if it looks a certain way? If you've got an idea that shining is, being the public speaker who's holding it all together and it all looks right and the flowers are in the right place or whatever. Or, if you're a teacher and, having the class behave the way you want them to behave is your idea of shining, whatever the thing is for you.
Priority.
Yeah, what
or evidence.
The evidence of what it's going to look like when you're shining.
Yeah.
I mean, it is how it's going to feel too. It's about whether, am I feeling like I'm in the flow? Yes, am I feeling like I'm loved? I'm feeling like I'm loved. What does that look like for you? What's the evidence of that for you? And like I said before, it's not to be right or wrong. It just is to be self-aware.
And there's something in how you explore that rather than what you get out of it. Like there's this sense of how do you take yourself into those places? Because there's no denying, there's no way to get out of that exploration. It's your loudest point is going to keep coming up and coming up and coming up because that's what you're being asked to pay attention to. But how are you going to be in that place? How are you going to explore that loudest point? And it is, to drop into the sense of the hopelessness of it. And then it is to go, okay, so what's really going on here? And then it is to drop into whatever bubbles in that moment. Like it's just constantly to have that sense of surrender and allowing and being with and just exploring for the sake of the experience. There's some self-acceptance that occurs in that allowing. There's some, that self-awareness is the dropping in. That self-acceptance is the, I don't know, it's like this pivotal aspect of the exploration. There's some beautiful thing that happens when you know you are who you are for a reason. That the cosmology that you're operating in is for a reason. There's some, even if the cosmology that you're in, like the dropped in self-awareness experience is, I need to get it right. There's, that second point of view that you're capable of bringing yourself into is that sense of, and what's really going on here. I know that's true. I live in a cosmology that's XYZ, but I also know that I can ask the question, what's really going on here? And then, if there's some pull to the cosmology of heart alchemy, if there is some pull to that sense of non-judgment, then you will explore it from that point of view, and it will be this constant pull. Like there's no sense of, once I've done step A and step B, I will get to step C, and then I will move on to the next thing. it is this constant loudest point, whatever is, whatever you're being asked to pay attention to in this moment. And there's a sense that you pick up on what people will feel in each week. There's a sense of, you know, your empathic muse status on the planet allows you to tune to whomever gets to week 6 and what they feel like they drop into, what they feel like the world becomes, what they feel like, you know, is most urgent, is most not drastic, you know, like that sense of panic, that sense of distress, but it's more than that. You know, there's an exploration of what is most important from that emotional space.
And it just feels like that's the start of a conversation. That desperation that so many of us feel when we drop into what's important to us. And when we're trying to get it right so that it'll get better and blah, blah, blah. It just feels like that's the start of the conversation with yourself. And it feels like for many people that is overwhelming because there's a lot of emotion attached to it. There's a lot of other people's emotion attached to it. There's a lot of static on the planet that you pick up on. No, I think the static is just other people's way of seeing things. You know, it is all the things people have told you right before, all the ways that other people have walked their journey through life, all the ways that, all the tools people have given you to make things an easier path for you. But it feels like that's their tools or whatever. It does feel like there's a lot of, you know, we go, I want some static on the station. I mean, we're the ones out there collecting all the modalities and all the ideas and all the other people's viewpoints. But somewhere it feels like, you know, if there is an essence to this, it is to clear away everything else you've known or been told or that you've tried to pick up from the outside. And tune into what's actually happening for you.
Yeah, and I guess from the cosmology you would say the loudest point is the feeling, is the including the static, including all of those things, and that by being with, there is a self-awareness that is simultaneously seeing, it's not where that's operating or why that's operating, it's seeing it as the conversation. There's some, you know, and that's explained as clearing, but there's this sense that the experience itself is still the conversation. It's just that it's coming from a place of allowing in a particular way. So the allowing of the emotion does not define you, but it is full-bodied. And then in the self-awareness of the emotion that's full-bodied is this allowing of, I know this is happening for a reason, this is part of my conversation. There's a self-awareness that comes in. So the embodiment of the emotion is just one part of the conversation, that loudest point. And then that self-awareness is just another part of the conversation, and it's, you know, just another sense of allowing. And it's just this constant, I know, and it is to kind of not translate those terms, but to understand them from both cosmologies, because there's something about the language that's being used that keeps the cosmologies in place. When you're trying to have a sense of, well, what does it mean if I'm in the emotion, and then what does it mean to become self-aware, and then what does it mean to be grateful? You know, the words that you use to explain that conversation, whether it's the phrase of emotion or the phrase of self-awareness or this phrase of gratitude, to see them as stages in dichotomy, or to see them as just part of this moment in heart alchemy or oneness or whatever you want to call it, is a very different experience. You know, there's a sense of it changes what it means to be emotional. It's not to make the dichotomy wrong. It's not to say, oh, well, I can see where that's keeping me in a loop and blah, blah, blah. It's like that's part of what's occurring for a reason. But in order to explore this cosmology, there has to be that self-awareness. And it's not in order to change, but the language is important. I don't know if that's clear. I don't know if that's
it just
still...
makes me think of the fridge last night again. It's like, what's wrong with me? I only bought orange vegetables.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you've got someone...
What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me?
And if you've got someone that stands next to you and says, you know, how would you say that in a way that doesn't make you wrong? It's not to say you need to change that in order to have a better perspective. But it is to have someone next to you, you know, musing or guiding, however you want to look at it. Someone next to you saying, and what does that sound like, look like, feel like from oneness, from a place where there's no polarities, no judgment, no duality, no pathology. Like, what does that look like?
It's ironic because it is, if it doesn't make you right, wrong, or incomplete, even if you're feeling right, wrong, or incomplete.
But that's the thing that's hard to know, that if that's clear or not.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to know if the language that we're using makes that self-evident. I don't know. Anyway, Louise,
I'm slinking out of my chair. I'm slinking down out of the picture.
Louise is going to go to
school. To school now. Have fun, kids.
And be with all those fascinating beings.
See how many of them are shining today.
Yep.
Anyway, there will be more about shining, I'm sure.
Yeah, we might make another show, but this should be enough. I'd say this is enough. Because it is one of those weeks. You don't need us talking to you.
All right, enjoy your experience.
And the blame.
Or maybe not enjoy it, just be with it. Whatever's possible.
Whatever's possible.
Okay, ciao.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.